Let's get riggedy wrecked.
Let's get riggedy wrecked on honey. Hey everybody, Jim Cummings here. Welcome to my podcast, Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. We have a great guest for you today. But before we get to that, make sure you like and subscribe. Our podcast has partnered with the largest Comic-Con in North America, Fan Expo, the Juggernaut. We're touring all over North America live, so get your tickets and come be a part of the live audience. It'll be fun. Go to fanexpohq.com for the tickets. We'll see you in a city near you, or a little bit away, but you can drive. And with all that said and done, sit back and enjoy today's episode. And as always, thanks for tuning in to Toon'd In with Jim Cummings.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. I am producer Chris, joined as always by the legend himself, Mr. Jim Cummings. How are you doing today?
Fancy meeting you here. So far, so good. Life is good.
Another great day. We have another great episode coming up for you guys today. But before that, just got a couple announcements to make. As you guys know, or may not know, we are doing Toon'd In with Jim Cummings live with Fan Expo this year. That's right.
Yes,
you can come and see us live. And we do the podcast on stage. It's actually a really good time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, there will be audience participation, and we'll be counting noses. Yeah. So be there.
And you guys ask a lot of good questions, so it's fun. It kind of changes the dynamic a little bit when we're on stage.
Well, it's nice with a live audience because they're a live audience.
Yeah, exactly.
How about that?
Yeah, we've had some good guests so far on the live tour with Fan Expo. We've had Christopher Judge, my dad. You know, that was a good one up in that was in Portland.
Portland, somewhere. Yeah.
Portland. We had Erica Durance from Smallville up in Calgary, her hometown. That was a great turnout. That was probably the biggest one yet. That was
could be. Yeah,
that was a great one.
I had a lot of fun.
John Rhys Davies. I mean, he's just great as always.
Indy. That was my bad, John Rhys Davies.
But yeah, we have some more dates coming up for you guys. I'll let you know right now. We have the next one that will be available is Chicago, August 14th to the 16th, Fan Expo Chicago. Followed by Fan Expo Canada, which is in Toronto. That is August 27th to the 30th. Followed by Fan Expo Dallas, September 11th to the 13th. And finally, for this year, Fan Expo San Francisco, November 27th to the 29th. So if you're in the area or feel like going on a little road trip,
come on down.
Because people sure do. They come on a nice little road trip.
They really do. And thank you.
Yeah, you'll be able to see us live. And in Chicago, we actually know who the guest is already. We're going to have Mr. T in Chicago.
Yes, and I pity the fool that doesn't show up. That was my bad, Mr. T.
But also happening that weekend, Jim, is big for you because you're doing a little bit of double duty. Also going to D23. You'll be appearing at D23.
Yeah, which is Disney's flagship convention,
yeah.
So to speak, yeah.
And that's, I mean,
it's kind of cool.
I'll tell you something I experienced with you at D23. You are literally like Tom Cruise. At D23.
I can't walk around.
You cannot walk around.
It's weird.
That's no exaggeration. Yeah. It's literally like, Mr. Cummings, Mr. Cummings, Mr. Cummings.
Well, that's why I wear a Tom Cruise mask. Yeah. That way, nobody, and then I just rip it off, at the okay.
No, but it's a great time. I love that convention. I mean, it's obviously so Disney.
These are my people.
Yeah.
My people for sure.
But it's like a mega convention that's all focused around Disney. I mean, obviously you have Star Wars, obviously traditional Disney animation.
Yeah. Well, they own Star Wars, Marvel. I mean, everything's Disney.
All the superhero stuff. I mean, it's really cool. They have a lot of cool stuff there.
Yeah. I'm very honored, very blessed.
And it's like, down the street from Disneyland?
Yeah,
so
right out there. You go out that one door and make a right, and then you make a left, and it's right there.
And then you're at the Magic Castle. I mean, it's a really cool convention. So if you guys are, once again, in the area, in Anaheim, I believe it's at the Anaheim Convention Center.
Yeah. It's hop, skip, and a jump from wherever you are.
Yes. So be sure to come see Jim at that, because you'll be doing... I believe you'll be doing a little singing, if I'm not mistaken.
It could be. I've been known to warble.
Yeah, I've been known to warble indeed.
You'll just have to be there and see. How about that?
And with those announcements out of the day, we hope you guys enjoy this episode. We have a really good one coming right at you. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. I'm producer Chris, joined as always by the legend himself, Mr. Jim Cummings. How are you doing today, sir?
Man, it's yet another day in paradise. I probably never said that before, except for all the other episodes. And glad to be here, man. How about you?
I'm glad to be here too. We've had a little bit of a hiatus here. All the episodes you guys were watching, we recorded previously. We took a couple little week break here.
Yeah.
And it feels good. I don't know if you can tell I've lost some weight.
Yeah. And he got a tan. Yeah. He comes with a soundtrack now. He walks in the room. Ba-da-ba-da-dum.
No, but it's good to be back. It's good to be back in the studio.
Yes.
Headed to San Diego Comic-Con this weekend.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And this will come out after that, so I hope you all had a good time.
So make sure to watch the episode about that. Yes,
yeah.
It'll be out soon.
Yeah, there's a slim chance we'll do something there.
Yes. And just before I introduce our guest today, I just have some quick announcements very quickly to take care of. As you know, you've heard me talk about every episode. We are doing a live tour with Fan Expo this year. That's right. You can find Jim himself on stage at Fan Expos all across the nation. And I'll give you the dates right now. But I personally really like the live version that we do.
Yeah.
I like the energy you can feel in the room.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think every performer, and you'll have your thoughts on this too. I think every performer in any category, fill in the blank, except for ballet, are better with an audience, because you hear something, you feel something, you get something, the vibe is there, and you respond to it. We all do. It's what went wrong with us as children that we don't you love me? Come on, it's that kind of thing, and I love it.
Yeah, me too. I have a really good time. I mean, and every time we do it, the crowd gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So we have all of you to thank for that.
Yes.
I mean, it's just
thank
amazing.
Thank you very much.
And if you do want to see it live, we still have some dates left this year, but you got to hurry because we're closing out soon. And I will tell them to you right now. The next one we have coming up is in Chicago, August 14th to the 16th. Again, this is Fan Expo Chicago, 14th to the 16th. Followed by Fan Expo Canada. They call it Canada, but it's in Toronto. Fan Expo Toronto, that's August 27th to the 30th. Dallas Fan Expo, September 11th to the 13th. And finally, San Francisco Fan Expo. Fan Expo San Francisco, November 27th to the 29th. So if you're in the area, and people come from all over for these conventions. It's crazy.
They
so if you're
really
within, earshot of these, you might want to come check it out because it's a good time. I mean, the podcast is great, but not only that, I mean, Fan Expo is great.
Yeah, it is. It's one of my faves.
It's a good time. It's where we met our guest today, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Meanwhile,
absolutely. And so without further ado, we have a very talented voice actor for you today. You know him best as Rick Sanchez in Rick and Morty, none other than Ian Cardoni. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And
great.
Wow, you're doing quite the tour. That's awesome. And exactly what you said about live audiences. It's just, we feed off that energy, and it's such a rush for a voice actor, especially because so much of what we do is isolated.
Oh gosh.
And it's always great to have an audience. So
yes. I think you're better. I think you're better.
I think so. So I'm glad we invited thousands of people to.
That's right. And by God, we've got look at what we are now.
We'll be on fire.
Yeah, I remember. It's funny you bring that up because I remember, and it was Tasmania, the Tasmania show. I was Taz, and Art Vitello was the evil genius behind that show, and every now and then there would be 3 or 4 or 5 people that were, I don't know what they were doing. They were just sort of tagging along. I don't know if they worked the studio, just different people. And sometimes it would be Art, the recording engineer, and me. That was it, because we all did, most of them we did separately. And every now and then, like I said, X amount of people would be there. And he said, you know what? At about 7 or 8 shows in, he goes, I'm going to start hiring people to come in here and watch you and listen to you because you're so much better when you have an audience.
Yeah.
I mean, does that work for you? Is that?
Absolutely. Well, and I think it goes back to what got any of us into this in the first place, whether it's, early childhood, just trying to make someone laugh at home, just trying to be the center of attention. I'm an only child. So, I wanted all that attention. I got used to all the attention.
Oh, well, good for you. Okay, wise
keep striving for that. But also, in impressions and voice matching, I think, began as party tricks and ways to entertain my friends and, get that instant validation from them, do a funny voice, hope it, it gets a reaction. And I think that's at least at the beginning of.
Now, when it comes to impressions, I know what I know the mistake I made in doing impressions of a very young child. How about you? Who are some of your first impressions of?
Oh my goodness, so I guess my initial, I go to The Simpsons because I watched a lot of Simpsons growing up. Okay. But even earlier than that, I think I was just naturally a mimic or a mockingbird to anything that I was watching at home, VHS tapes that I'd watch over and over again. And certain lines would just stick with you. And and then I would just, I would repeat them, listen and repeat and try to get it as accurate as possible. It's always something that bugs me if, because I hear it so specifically in my mind, that I want to, if I'm going to try to do something, I want to get as close as possible. Right. But that's going back to 4, 5, 6-year-old me.
I understand.
Probably, honestly, watching Disney movies with your voice in them and just trying to, yeah.
Well, don't do my characters too well.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Not gunning for.
I appreciate that.
But just to say that, there are lines that stick with us from those early impressions made on us that we then
I used to do impressions of my aunts and uncles and sisters, and they just loved it.
Oh, okay, there you go.
They thought that was they hated it. They were like, because my Aunt Grace, God rest her soul, she sounded like this to me, and she wound up being Lieutenant Spinelli on the Chippendale Rescue Ranger show. So and then my Uncle Sam, he was usually an ogre. Okay. And I'm telling you, that's how they both sounded. Sorry.
Did you ever develop those family members into original characters of yours?
Oh, yeah. Well, Lieutenant Spinelli, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, was my aunt.
Oh, wow.
Grace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do
we have to talk about that?
I guess I have to admit, because they're the people closest to us, that's where a lot of the impressions start too. It's not just media; it's people in our lives. Teachers, I think. I would emulate my teachers.
Teachers for sure.
The good ones and the maybe not my favorite ones.
Yes.
Just a short list. I loved most of them.
Any chance you went to Catholic school?
No,
Cardoni.
but adjacent, because
Catholic school adjacent. I've heard of it.
Where I grew up,
almost St. Joe's.
Yeah, it's almost
not quite St.
The public school version next to all the Catholic schools. Well, I grew up just outside of Boston, and in a very Irish and Italian town. Yeah. So, there was St. Catherine's or Norwood Public Schools. I went to Norwood Public Schools. But I grew up next door to a big Catholic high school. So, I don't know. It was just I was around the culture of private school, and it was an all-boys school up the street, and then Ursuline Academy was down, one town over.
And a lot of Catholic girls.
At that one, yeah. Well, what was interesting is that we had sort of a bigger theater program, so sometimes their students would come and be able to participate in our theater programs as well, and so that's when we all got to kind of commingle, and I wasn't raised Catholic, but I guess just the culture of Catholic school.
Yeah, Boston's kind of
very much so. Yeah. So
their team logo is a clover leaf, for God's sake.
Yes. Yeah.
The Celtics.
But more to your point, I wasn't doing any impressions of nuns or anything like that. So
well, that's a shame, because they were a fount of knowledge for me.
It's a missed opportunity.
There you go.
Yeah, missed opportunity. I think you're doing fine. Yeah. And you didn't become intimate with any rulers, like that was good.
I got to avoid that. Yeah.
Well,
you do a good impression of Homer Simpson. I heard you do it on Nancy Cartwright's podcast.
Oh yeah. Marge. They're micro impressions, I'd say. But
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by micro?
I feel like I can give me a few lines, or usually what I do at home if I'm doing rapid fire impressions for friends or whatever, just little lines or little scenarios, like Homer Simpson, but he's trying to find the right birthday card in the store. Oh, if only I could read, something like that. So, just little bite-sized impressions are like a good way in, I feel like.
Yeah, well, that's good, because the more brevity, the less they have to critique.
The less scrutiny. Yes.
Yeah, the less scrutiny.
I agree.
Wow, very wise.
together, we've come up with some really good.
Yeah, that's right. Good job. Did you know that you were going to join the circus when you were a little kid? That's what I call this. By the way.
It's accurate. I wanted to be an actor from a very young age.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always performing in some capacity, whether it was just imitation. But anytime I would play as a kid, I think maybe being an only child contributed to this. I had to kind of create the world for myself because I didn't grow up in a neighborhood where it was very walkable. So I didn't have next door neighbor, kids to play with. It was, it was me, my imagination, my Legos. And so I would, playing dress up as a kid or whatever it was, I would create the world for myself. So I was kind of already doing what we're taught in acting, professional acting classes, just naturally as a kid. Because it's play.
Sure.
So I was just always naturally gravitating towards that sort of thing, and the attention was nice too. Then I started doing little skits at school. They'd have it after school. We're talking elementary school. We would have skit day or whatever. Or it'd be part of the after school thing. They might do this line from Cat in the Hat or something such as that. And so I kind of liked the spotlight, and I had no trouble kind of getting up in front of people and just being loud. I still don't have trouble with that.
I'm still pretty good at that,
But sixth grade is when I declared my intention. I was cast as Bilbo Baggins in a school production of The Hobbit. And I got off stage of that, 3-performance run. And I said to my parents, I want to be an actor. I want to go to Emerson College. And then I want to move to Los Angeles and be in TV and movies. Prophecy fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I'm incredibly grateful for their support early on.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure at that moment they thought, all right, well, that's good for now. Maybe he'll pivot and maybe he won't always want to do this, but it only grew for me. So I always knew I wanted to do this. I did not know that it would take me on the path of voiceover and voice acting, which I have absolutely fallen in love with.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's great. I remember telling my dad what I wanted to do when I was very, very young. And he said, yeah, but how are you going to make a living? And I was in Youngstown, Ohio, and steel mills, and that was, you could change tires there if you wanted. Like people who had flat tires, they're making them all the time. You could do that. No, I want to go and do cartoon voices. What about the tires? It's
sure.
They didn't get a lot of stimulus. It was like he thinks he's gonna go to Hollywood and make funny voices. It was like, oh, the poor little kid. But so far so good.
But it worked out. I mean, and there's no guarantee. I mean, it's not totally out of place to question the decision to go into a career as uncertain as this.
It doesn't get much more uncertain.
Right. I was just thinking the same thing. It's like I was trying to think of what is another career that's more uncertain than entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not to say potentially viable. It's just you can't. Yeah.
Of course.
There's no guarantees. You can't.
Well, ballet, but that's entertaining.
Yeah.
To some people. Sorry.
That's the second time against ballet today. Was there a story there?
No, there's a story. Well, gotta dance. No, I'm back now.
I have a question for both of you guys. Because in my research, obviously, you guys have both taken over very iconic characters. Obviously, Jim with Winnie the Pooh and you with Rick Sanchez. Did you feel like intimidated at first, or a pressure, like maybe a greater pressure than a previous audition or any other role that you've done going into each of those roles?
Gosh, well, for me, I think the challenge is to first you got to sound like it. That's like the character that they know. Right. It has to sound like him sneezing or burping or clearing a throat. It has to sound like that character, and that is kind of like job one. And then from there, then you layer in the acting.
Yeah.
The very little brain part.
So that was your approach? You would try and get the emphases or, first before the voice, or of a mix and match?
A mix. Yeah, it was definitely a mix of both. You had to sound like him. You had to put your pipes in a certain area where Pooh comes out, when Winnie the, okay. So that was job one, and then from there you put in the acting. I think. What about you? Is that?
Yeah, I think it's a listening job more than anything else. You have to listen
to
the real specifics and the nuance, because there's how we think about a voice in our heads, and then if you actually listen to the mechanics of it, and then the placement of it, as you're saying, and then I think moreover, there's with an iconic role such as Winnie the Pooh or Rick Sanchez and anywhere in between, there is, I think, a responsibility owed to the character as a whole, not just the voice in a particular sound, because every voice is going to sound different day to day, episode to episode, or year to year, and voices change naturally over time. But I would say that as long as it's true to the character and how we feel about the character, especially characters that make such an impression on us, such as Winnie the Pooh, that have an early childhood, lasting effect on us, and it's really deeply tied to emotion. Or in the case of Rick, I would say there's a lot of people who turn to that show as like their comfort show now, and and there's people who get really into the sci-fi and the mechanics. They take it very seriously, and that's a cool thing when people care that much about anything. I mean, I think that's awesome, and so. There is sort of a responsibility to being true to the character, even if the sound might come out differently one day to another, even if there's little things that are different as actors step into those roles. I think that there's something to be said for the target being the essence of the character and what's true to the character. That's sort of at least my North Star that I'm.
So I'm curious because you had mentioned that you kind of, you're a fan of Rick and Morty first and foremost, when the show first came out, before you got this opportunity. Sure. And you had mentioned that you're doing, Rick's voice is like some party tricks, to entertain some friends and whatnot. So is the Rick that you ended up on, the voice, how much does that differ, if at all, from the party trick voice of Rick?
Yeah, so there's a bit of a layered answer, if I may.
Please.
I think, what started off and what passes for an impression, again, maybe a micro impression, a line, or, one quick scenario. A lot of people have the skill to be able to regurgitate one line, and that's funny. And, that's great. And then we move on. To be able to sustain that for not only one session, but and a whole episode, and then new material, stuff that's never been heard before, and a whole season, and then a whole run of a show. That's a different skill.
You were so right. Yeah.
And I mean, it's all about sustainability and longevity, and I think that's where the essence of the character comes into play as well, because there's going to be new material given to me that is not what's heard on YouTube or what's considered an iconic line, and it still needs to sound like the character, but we don't have a frame of reference for that particular line or that particular burp, shall we say?
That's right.
So so there's a little flexibility in sort of what you can take ownership of at that point and bring new to the role, but. What I think passed for an impression years ago would not have taken me this far, and that was made clear during the audition process, which was 5 or 6 months for me. From end to end, between when I first submitted.
Was it meaning callbacks? Or were you
rounds of callbacks, producer sessions, testing, vocal coaching, which they set us up with.
Interesting.
Which is very rare, and
that's very
much appreciated.
Can you tell us more about that? That's really fascinating.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, it was a long process, and the initial ask for this was to be a 1-to-1 voice match from the most recent season. Which is also different sounding from the early days or some of the most
especially
iconic
season
lines.
1. Like you watch the pilot and it's almost like a completely different voice.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are some iconic songs from the early seasons which also sound different from the dialogue voice of the character. And those are things that most people might not pick up on, but there's, and from having done so many singing dubs and voice matches.
That's a weird thing, because when a character starts to sing, there was a comedian who had a bit on that. He goes, "Well, this is me there," and then he goes, "Some enchanted evening." Then he's Mr. Opera,
right?
And it's the same guy, but you do sound different when you sing.
It's true.
It's true. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So the initial ask was that 1-to-1 match. You get as close to where we left off as possible, make it as seamless as possible, and then. It will naturally evolve from there, and that was also comforting to know that there was some direction for it to be taken.
A little leeway for take a little breath.
But and then so for the audition process, to your question, I guess it was January of 2023 that I first submitted a demo reel to anyone who would listen, and it got into the right ears. And I was submitted for the role, got a call back. Just kissing the ground at that point, because I was just trying to throw my hat in the ring. And at that point, I had done a lot of voiceover in promo and commercial, but really had not done any animation. And I was really hoping to start working in any capacity in animation. Absolutely. And this was a huge opportunity, and what a great thing as an actor to take something that I do just off the cuff, to the side, and have it be something that becomes a job. I mean, that's incredible. So it's not lost on me, and I hope it never gets lost on me. Just what an amazing opportunity it is to have gone on that ride and to be able to do what we do. But yeah, it was round after round. They wanted to hear something a little different, or they'd give a new reference scene for the voice match. Okay, we've heard you yell, but now we want to hear conversational. All right.
Now I want to hear you whisper.
Yeah, well, right, exactly. Well, and can you do the scream? Can you do the scream even louder?
Yeah.
Can you, how? And then later on in the process, a few weeks out from when I eventually booked the role, they set us up with a vocal coach, and Amy Chapman worked with me a few times in the later callback sessions. She was actually there in some of the sessions, basically just making sure that I was protecting my voice. And it was an amazing resource as an actor to have someone right there whose sole job is protect the actor and their voice as they do this insane voice, which is not a healthy voice to do for vocal cords. But what it also, this was so cool, the fact that the producers were even thinking about that, thinking about vocal health, thinking about sustainability and longevity.
Yeah.
And
they don't usually.
No.
I don't think I've ever experienced that.
But they cared about us as actors and our health. And, I'm sure there's a component that's like, we need to make sure you don't blow your voice out, that you can continue to do this. There's practical reasons for that as well.
We need you tomorrow too, by the way.
Right, exactly. But there was a genuine care and a collaboration right from the start. And also the fact that there was that many people listening in and, weighing in on this got me to practice in a different way and hear the voice in a different way. And so if I were to listen to my first auditions, I would probably cringe because it would just sound so far off from what I've learned.
That's so true.
And how I've learned to develop and keep the voice, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And because there's the specifics are that you run into the risk of too much constriction because it's a very gruff voice. And so you can sometimes tighten up too much or, and so what I've learned is that you just need a lot of breath. So you kind of gotta just you gotta relax a little bit, and then let it kind of flow. And then so there's ways into it that's
nice.
that make it easier on the voice a little bit, and I think hopefully more accurate. But But I didn't know that before the late callback stages of that, and I didn't have the vocal vocabulary. I don't know, the VO vocabulary.
The vocabulary.
Yes, there we go.
That's how we pronounce it.
Vocality.
Yeah. Just there's a certain shorthand now that I can work with my coach on, or
Did you sing or play any instruments growing up? Were you musical?
I sang. I took years of guitar and none of it stuck. None of it stuck. Yeah, I just didn't. I'm not really a musician.
The reason I ask is because this comes up so much on this show. So many voiceover actors have musical backgrounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you did your Rick voice just now for us, the rhythm, the melody, it's so in sequence. It's just like you don't even really have to. I'm sure you could say the same rhythm in a different voice and you still get a hint of the Rick, which leads into my next question. No, but literally that leads into my next question is Rick's in my opinion, a freeing character because there's so many different versions of him. There's so many different iterations of him, in the multiverse of Rick and Morty.
Absolutely.
So you get to be a cowboy or a CIA agent, all these different versions of Rick.
Sure.
What is that like to play around with?
I've had so much fun developing some of the original nuanced versions. There was a Boss Hogg version of Rick in season 8, where he was a Southern gumbo chain spokesperson.
We don't want to hear any of that. Okay, give us some.
I was in charge of a gumbo chain. I can monologue while we wait. There's
I can monologue while we wait.
And it was just sort of this fun. We developed it in the booth with some of the writers who had heard the character a certain way, and then we took them really extreme to begin with, and then we had to kind of bring them back for what we eventually ended up with. But it was really, really fun to do. You start with base Rick. So you start with, the voice we're used to, and then maybe to introduce the drawl, you just take a little more time with it. You pull it apart. And now he's a very rotund individual, so maybe I'll place a little bit lower. And, so we played around with it. Until we got something funny.
Dallas there for a second.
Yeah. So it's, but that is so fun because that's a version that nobody's ever heard of. Nobody's ever seen before. And, it's one of the ways that I hope I can leave my mark on the character and on the show. There was a James Bond version of Rick that we did, which was British. So, that's another Morty. It's just a slightly more British version, but still baseline Rick. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, and there's more subtle ones as well because those are big characters that are archetypes that I work from. Right. But there was in season 9, episode 2, there was a version of Rick that was Rick on vacation. Basically, all of his memories are taken out, and he's off world, and this different version of him. And so there's an emotional component to him. There's sort of a somberness to him, and so playing with the layering in the acting, as you said, the supplying that emotional life, it will naturally affect the voice. And in subtle ways. So I don't know that I go into that thinking, all right, well, Rick needs to sound different here. What's the result I want? I start with what the sound is, and then the acting takes the voice where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And that's true for every scream. That's true for every cry or whimper, and that's true. Fighting or whatever it is.
Good way to put it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Jim, did you have a similar experience? Off the top of my head, is Negaduck the same voice as Darkwing? Similar? He's slightly different, right?
Yeah, well, he is. He's, Darkwing Duck, the hero, he flaps in the night, etc. Darkwing Duck. And Negaduck is just down here. He's like the evil Darkwing. He's Nega. He's Nega, not Pazza. If that made sense. Pazza Duck, no, Negaduck. Thank you very much. And then you just push him back up into Darkwing. So you just kind of, that was the weird thing about it because they were thinking about getting somebody else to do Negaduck, but they wanted it to sound like evil Darkwing, and I think it came. There was, I'm blanking on the cartoon character. I know Superman had Bizarro. He was Superman, and then on Bizarro World, there was the Bizarro that had different, and he was real dumb. But it had to sound like Superman.
Still had to start with that.
So it was an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
But I dug it.
Well, totally.
And you too. Apparently.
Well, thank you. And it was early on that we recorded the episode Unmort Rickon, which is a big showdown between our Rick and Rick Prime, which is just that slightly more evil, darker version of the character. My co-star Harry has evil Morty as well that he slips into, and there's vocal differences there. It's incredible to watch him and listen to him work as well. I'm curious, because you've done it so seamlessly, even just right here, which is always going to be magic to me, just hearing actors slip into their iconic voices immediately. I have key phrases that activate the voice for me, that get me right into the pocket. Do you have your own sort of that gets you into
yes and no. Not a ton of them, but like for Pooh and me, oh bother.
Yeah.
And Tigger is, well, the wonderful thing about Tigger, you just kind of think of the song. Yeah. A song drags you in. If your character is a singing character, that kind of works.
That's great. And back to our point about music. I mean, there is a musicality, I think, to voice acting. It goes back to even if it's not formally on the bars. It's actually I think it's a listening thing.
Yeah. And and I've always I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before, but sometimes when you're doing a character, there are major keys and minor keys. And I always use the good example of showing my age, but I don't care. The Rifleman is the theme for the Rifleman was do 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 do, and I'm in a major chord. But when the bad guy's sneaking around the side of the barn with a rattlesnake to throw on Chuck Connors, do 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 do, slower, minor key.
Slightly more sinister.
Minor key.
Yeah.
Minor key's bad news.
Yeah.
If you hear the soundtrack
Watch
of your life going into a minor key, be aware.
Even in that little be aware that you just did, it was a shade of some of your more villainous characters. Because it's just
sure.
Yeah, I guess
Villains are fun.
Oh yeah.
You know, they probably have more fun.
Yeah.
To an extent. You know, the superheroes get the girl, but hey, you know, it's cartoons anyway. You're not really getting it anyway.
Well, and making a villain lovable as well is,
I
mean, that's so fun when you can create a villain that someone sympathizes with. And
For me, it would be Hondo Ohnaka from Star Wars, because he's you don't want to play cards with him, but he's not a bad guy. You could probably trust him to watch your dog for the weekend.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
If that makes sense. Anyway,
even Robotnik. Even Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. He's pretty bad.
He's pretty bad, but yeah, I mean, you kind of love to see those cutaway scenes with him, you know, and you know, getting frustrated. You love to see the character getting flustered by Sonic. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites as a kid when I was.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll tell Jaleel, who doesn't hang with me anymore. I don't know. I don't get it. He's busy being famous.
Sure.
Yeah. Come on, Jaleel. Yeah, come on the podcast. He said so.
Please.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, another question I have for you is obviously, you know, despite the voice, you know, one of the affectations that Rick is famous for is the burping.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, how do you summon those burps? We had
Maurice.
Maurice, yes, of course.
Yes.
You read my mind.
He's a famous burper.
He certainly is.
Yeah.
And he just summons
standard.
it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Do you do that as well, or do you have like a little soda? Or
Man, I have my tricks.
Yeah.
Listen,
are you allowed to reveal them?
Oh yeah, sure.
You're not
I'm
a
happy to talk about them. Did Maurice leave any tips? Because I'd be happy to take any suggestions.
Yeah, well, his burp isn't a burp. He just does something with his little back, that little thing that hangs down, and it's like a controlled growl from deep within his crotch.
Yeah, it comes from another dimension, I'm pretty sure. You know, as snakes unhinge their jaws to eat, I feel like some actors have to do something crazy to get those sounds.
Yes, get that boa going.
And he can do it for like 45 seconds straight. Like
it's
on and on and on.
Superhuman. Yeah. Listen, those are the gold standards for burps in our industry. There are some really incredible
I can snore,
burpers.
Just for the record.
You can snore?
I've done a good snore.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it now
you're leaving us on the hook.
I think I have the world record for snorage.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and because it made Jamie Thomason go, okay, that's enough. We get it. You're asleep.
Hey, wake up.
Got it. You know, and after about an hour later, okay, got it. Stop.
Is there a library of snores somewhere?
Yes. Yeah, no, there really actually is.
We have a library of burps that we've been working on.
Wow. And falls. Are you a good faller?
Ooh.
Like there's a 100-foot fall.
Yeah.
There's a oops where you just trip. And then there's from the third moon of Jupiter fall.
Yeah.
That's a tough fall.
It just, again, requires so much breath.